So we've done a lot of criticizing Raid, especially lately. And I say sometimes in my rants, I reference that there are a lot of quality of life things that should be implemented that are still not implemented. Things that we've been telling about for years. And I tend to kind of gloss over that and keep going with whatever the point is I'm making at the time. So I thought what we would do today is I would talk specifically about that, because I think maybe it could sound like an empty statement. Maybe it sounds like a thing I'm just saying and that I don't have many examples. So I've given it some thought. I've made a list. I'm going to go down the list. This might be kind of a long video, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk about what I would do, what I think Raid needs. If I was given control of Raid right now, these are the things that I would do to fix the game. And I may leave something out. I may forget something. This is going to be one of those videos where I'm going to be particularly interested in not only your feedback on the things I say, but input as well. What are some things you would like to see fixed or added to the game or taken away from the game? Let me know in the comments. This is going to be a very interactive video, but I've got a lot to go over here. So let's go ahead and just get to it. I'm going to avoid talking a lot about new content like adding live arena and stuff. I'm just going to talk about fixing the game. Things that I think are a problem that need fixing or adjusting. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. First things first, I would increase the energy pool. They didn't extend the energy cap when they started extending the level cap, which is a weird decision. I don't think I've ever seen a game do that. I don't think I've ever seen a game extend the level cap and not extend the energy cap. So I think at least 200, just from a nice round number point of view. The level 25 dungeons cost 20 energy. It's just a nice round number. There's probably an argument to be had to increase it a little bit further than that, but I think at least 200 is reasonable, especially with the fact that Iron Twins got added and it costs energy. Now Sand Devil got added and it costs energy. There's just a lot of things in the game that cost energy, and I don't think 130 is enough, obviously, to get to make the rounds. And then I don't really think that you're getting much value comparatively to how much energy you need in the game when you're using your gems for energy refills. I know I'm sitting on a lot of energy right now, by the way, but it's because I don't really use it. If you're playing super actively and making the rounds every day, I kind of wonder if it costs you gems to just make the rounds every day. You know what I mean? So basically, the short version of that is the energy pool needs to be extended. Another one, I've talked about this since the day I got here. Once a month, a free gear removal day. Summoners War did it for a long time. I think they still do it. I think they've implemented some additions to it, but it's just such a necessary thing. It's so healthy for the game. It's so healthy for the community. It's a big fun day where you get to move your gear around for free. You get to try some new comps, test out some new champs, try some things out. It's just it's just healthy in every single way for the game and the community. It encourages so much more testing and creativity in the player base, and there's no reason not to have it, especially in a game that charges you as much as it does to move your gear around. It's crazy expensive in this game to move your gear around, and it's their solution to it is the 50% gear removal thing that they do once every 3 months or however often it is, and it's garbage. There's no reason not to let us do that for free once a month. No reason. So that's something that would for sure get put in the game. Obviously, Sacred Shard gets put back at the end of the login calendar, as does a 5-star chicken get put somewhere in here at least once. And there's some conversation to be had about potentially putting a legendary book in here as well near the end. I just feel like there is no reason not to have those things. It seems silly and unnecessarily stingy to not have those things in your monthly login calendar. There's no reason not to reward your players for every month that they play your game. So those would 100% get added back into the login calendar. Revamped events. Now, this one probably deserves its own video, so I'm going to kind of summarize it, and if there's enough interest, I'll do a follow-up video where I'll break down some ideas that I have for events. But generally speaking, the whole structure of the event system would change. For one, they would be more interesting, they would be fun, and they would always be net positive. Events should be net positive. The tournament tab can be reserved for the things that are competitive and things that if you want to rank high and get the premium stuff from the top rewards, you can spend some resources to do that. But events, you would never have to spend resources to complete. It would always be a matter of being active and specifically doing what the event requires you to do and netting some positive resources and things from it. They'd be different than what we have. The rewards would be better. There'd be some unique rewards in the events occasionally, skins and things that would be very obtainable that you would not have to spend to get. I feel like the events tab should be fun and net you resources. The tournaments tab can be the competitive, grindy, spend your resources to win tab, okay? So the whole system gets revamped. Again, if you want more like more of my thought on that, let me know in the comments. I'll do a follow-up video on events to talk about some of the ideas I have for that. But the whole system gets changed. On top of that too, there would occasionally be 2x silver events, 2x experience events. So you get double the experience for farming campaign and double the silver from everywhere that silver drops. We would do that once every, I don't know. Maybe there'd be a window on the weekends where it would be available, maybe once every couple of weeks. I don't know exactly, but just something like that. Something fun for everybody to focus their attention to for that moment and get double the rewards for doing whatever that thing is, okay? Another one would be change the fucking font back on the gear. There's no reason that needed to change. It sounds like kind of a joke, but also I hate it. And apparently I'm not alone. So we'd change the font back. That's dumb. I'd probably add more levels to the gem mine, at least 2 more levels, which would increase the capacity and the rate at which it fills itself up. We would still probably have it where, it fills itself up daily, but the capacity would just increase. I feel like this has been unchanged since launch. I can't imagine why we wouldn't extend that and allow people some access to some more daily gems, you know what I mean? So we'd add some levels to that. Next up, we would change the 10x rates. They virtually have a 0% impact at this point, and we've been telling them that, and they know that. The math has been broken down. 10x, especially on Ancients and Sacreds, virtually changes nothing for anyone. And that's stupid. Either do away with it or make it better. So I don't know exactly what the math is. I'd have to sit down and figure out the math on a system that makes it actually highly more likely that you would pull the champ on the particular banner. And there's even a discussion to be had about implementing some sort of pity, where if you pull, if you pull 3 legendaries during a 10x and don't get the champ, then the next one you pull, you're guaranteed, or some sort of system. Again, I'd have to sit down and specifically figure out the math in a way that makes sense. But I think that whole system could use a revamp as well, because it's in essence their version of like a banner versus. I mean, they did start doing the guaranteed champ thing, which is also kind of like a banner. But before that was kind of our banner. And it's gotten to the point now where they've added so many champs to the game. Again, it virtually has a 0% impact on your rates. And that's silly. So we would change the whole system and consider adding some sort of pity. Now that we have guaranteed Lego from certain shards, maybe that pity thing wouldn't be necessary, but the 10x would get more interesting for sure. We'd have to change those rates. I would think about adding some sort of a regression system so that if you've built a champ that you've outgrown or you wish you hadn't have built, you can get those resources back. This game punishes you immensely for anything that you do. And that's real sucky. So I don't think I would implement a free regression system. Really quick, just to follow up on what I mean by that, I don't mean that it would specifically cost money. I mean that you can't just regress a champion at your will constantly. There would be some sort of resource it would cost, and then that resource would be time gated to some degree or something. I don't mean specifically monetary though when I say free. In Raid, I don't think that's quite appropriate for Raid. Infinite Magic Raid is adjusting theirs currently, and it's getting better. They had a potion you could buy that would go on a 1-month cooldown, so you could basically get one a month. I would want to keep it from getting abused here for sure. So I don't think it would just be a wide open, you can reset a champ anytime you want to. But maybe one a month is not unreasonable, because it's just a real bummer to have put a bunch of books and resources into a champ that you're never going to use and never be able to get them back. So I'd probably implement some sort of system like that, just so that with a little bit more of a clear conscience, you could invest in a champ, knowing that if you decide you don't like them, at least at some point you can get the resources back if you want to. I think that would probably not be a bad thing to add. Another thing I would add is for masteries, when you purchase with gems, it would prorate. So like if I had done Mountain King's masteries to here and then I wanted to finish them, or better yet, if I've done them to here and I wanted to finish them with gems, it wouldn't charge me the full 800 gems. It would charge me a prorated amount based on how many scrolls I already had to finish his masteries out, because that's just kind of robbery, in my opinion. And yeah, you could just finish the Minotaur grind, but also you could not charge me full price for one more tier of masteries, you know what I mean? So we'd figure out a system that would prorate that purchase. A do not show me this again today checkbox on pop-ups is just absolutely necessary in Raid. Raid is super aggressive with their pop-ups, and that needs to stop. I have never bought a pack because they flashed it up in my face repeatedly, and it's annoying. It's annoying to do it. So there would be a do not show me this again today checkbox on pop-ups. I would consider, and this is something I've thought about when I consider if I was going to develop my own mobile game, I would consider an option for your account, a free-to-play option for your account, where you just never see pack pop-ups, right? Some people, I think, struggle with the temptation, right, with their spending, with the gambling aspect of it, and I think it would be nice to remove that temptation. And then again, for players like me that have a free-to-play account where the packs are not relevant to me at all, it would be nice to just not have to see them all the time. So maybe you could have it where you could still access them from a certain way. That would be up for discussion. But perhaps a free-to-play method of playing the game where I can just turn it off and not see them at all. You know what I mean? Something along those lines I think could be interesting. That's something I've been playing around with. Some way of purposefully, specifically accessing books, whether that be the page dungeon idea that we've talked about in the past, maybe a new string of repeatable missions that gives you access to books at a rate of, a certain amount a week or month, a book upgrading system, perhaps, where you take a certain number of rare books and turn it into an epic book, and then a certain number of epic books and turn it into a legendary book, something like that. That could be also interesting. But in order for a system like that to truly shine and be effective, we would need more access to books overall. They have even watered down our access to rare books so much that I struggled when I was doing my rares only account. I got to a point where I was struggling to skill up champs because there's just not much access to rare books anymore. They don't drop from clan boss really that much, and you don't really see them anywhere. There's really nowhere to get books specifically. You can get lucky for legendary and epic tomes from the higher levels of clan boss, but beyond that, there's not a ton at your disposal. So one, adding them back to the login calendars I think would be reasonable. And then again, some sort of system to deliberately gain access, whether it be the page dungeon, repeatable missions that are time gated to a degree, or some sort of book upgrade system. And that kind of leads me into the next thing I would do, which is upgrade the playtime rewards. I see no reason that the playtime rewards can't end with an ancient shard every day. I see no reason that we can't get one free ancient shard a day. I can't imagine that 30 more rares on an account a month is gonna break the account, or 29 rares at an epic. You know what I mean? There's no reason not to give us a free ancient shard every day. It's just about industry standard at this point to give everyone a free summon a day anyway. So I see no reason this can't end with an ancient shard. And again, to piggyback on the book system I talked about, I don't really see a reason that there can't be a rare book in here as well. So maybe 90 minutes is a rare book, 180 minutes is an ancient shard, and then the rest of the stuff in here. One of them can be an energy refill. I think this is truthfully the only good reward in here. I think the rest of this is garbage. I think the energy refill is dope. So energy refill, I guess we can leave the arena refill we could talk about what the other rewards are, but I see no reason that it can't be energy refill, rare book, and ancient shard. This gives you either rare books to use, or if we did like a 10-to-1 upgrade system, that's 30 rare books a month, which nets you 3 epic books a month. So you don't even net a full legendary book from the system, so it's not like it's going to oversaturate things with a legendary book. But I see no reason that can't be improved. The playtime rewards are just absolute ass, and they have been for a really, really long time. I would improve the market. The market's just awful. Very early game, you can get some decent stuff from the market. You can get some nice gear upgrades from the market, depending on champs you're building. You know, it's nice to snag a little food or maybe an armiger for a skill up. But overall, aside from the 5 ancients you can get from here a month, it's absolute ass. The only reason I ever load up the market anymore is to see if there's an ancient shard in it. There's otherwise no reason to touch it, and that's dumb. So I would upgrade. The quality of the things you see in the market would scale by your level. And I feel like it does that to a degree for a little bit, and then you just very quickly outgrow the quality. And then I'm level 95, and this is what my market looks like. And this was purchased because I have to purchase something every day for the mission. You know what I mean? Or the quest. So I never need anything in here except ancient shards. So the quality would continue to scale with your level, and even at level 100, you would occasionally see something in there that would be useful for you. You know what I mean? A search feature for champs. There are so many champs in the game, and there's so many champs on our roster and our inventory, and we've been talking about needing a search function for a while. We would add the search function. No reason not to have that. Next, an auto clear red dots for the index. There's no reason. Again, you're gonna hear me say there's no reason not to have a lot in this video, because there's no reason not to have. Auto clear red dots for the index. And I talked about this in my last Free to Succeed episode. Perhaps a reward system where when you get a new champ, you get to claim diamonds. Most games are doing that now, and I think that's a pretty cool system. One of the very appealing aspects to these games is the collection aspect of it. So to add some sort of reward, and just again, I can't come up with a reason not to want to give my players stuff for playing my game. And at least if you pull a new champ that you don't care about, at least you can come in here and grab some diamonds for it. So I would implement that. And yes, if I implemented the system, everyone would get diamonds appropriate to all the champs they've already collected. So you wouldn't be screwed if you've already got most of the champs. You just get a shit ton of diamonds. Fine, you know what I mean? Whatever. I would fix the clunkiness in the artifact filter. There's just, it's crazy. It's crazy that every time I come in here and make a change, it bounces me around like this. I know that it can be done better because every other game that has it, it doesn't do that. So it's dumb. I wouldn't, and I think the reason it hasn't been fixed is because they tend to implement a system and then it's just like, it's good enough. You should just be glad you have it. And I don't feel that way. To their credit, they did make some improvements in the tavern. It still leaves a little bit to be desired, but I think a lot of systems in the game could be tidied up a bit, and the artifact filter is number 1 on that list in my opinion. I would probably make all the potion dungeons just open all the time at this point. I'm so tired of the time-gated shit. There's not really a downside to having them all open all the time. If someone wants to spend all of their energy farming the magic keep every single day and get 1,000,000 potions, what do I care? I don't care. That doesn't break the game. So you can just farm any potion whenever you want to farm it. That's dumb. There's no reason for those to be time gated. We would address all of the issues with the missions. There are so many missions that, first of all, should be retroactive that are not. For example, clear stage 14 of the Dwarf Crypt is retroactive. Clear stage 21 of the Barbarian Crypt, for some reason, is not. There is 0 difference in those missions. 0. Except the stage. they should be retroactive too. This is such an unnecessary and blatant time gate that doesn't need to exist. And there are other examples of this throughout the whole thing. So one of the things that opening all the potion dungeons 24/7 would fix are the potion dungeon time keeps or time gates, because again, that's just unnecessary and transparent. We know what you're doing when you do that. So that would fix that issue. But then again, the faction war stages, and then there are a couple more that are just time gated unnecessarily that don't need to be. So we would address all of the issues with the missions and make it a little bit more seamless to progress through. Your walls of progression in there would be based on your ability to do the things and not having to wait around until it's doable again. Because that's what these should be. This shouldn't be a waiting game. This should be a, are you capable of doing the thing that needs doing game. That being said, another thing that kind of ties into the missions is the 3v3 system. It sucks. It's the worst game mode in the game, I think, by a landslide. So some ideas that I have for it are: one, the ranking system will be fluid, just like it is here. You will not rank up or rank down on a weekly basis. You will rank up or rank down based on your success in the moment, in the same way that you do in Arena. That's the first thing. That absolutely, again, is so stupid. That is such a stupid system to have copied Arena ×3 and then added the weird rank up system as though that somehow makes it different is so uninspired and awful. So it would be fluid. Beyond that, we're going to talk a little bit about autocomplete, some places that I would implement autocomplete, and it's going to kind of tie into the 3v3 system. We'd have autocomplete for 3v3. Assuming I don't pull the whole system out and revamp and come up with an entire new way to do this second arena mode that we have, if we're gonna leave 3v3 in the game, you're gonna get to autocomplete it. If I can't come up with a better, more interesting way for you to do arena, I'm not gonna make you spend over an hour a day in here doing it ×3. That's stupid. So I either suspend the game mode for a little bit and completely revamp it into something that is very different from regular arena, or I leave it and we make the rank up system fluid and I let you autocomplete the battles. And you just take your win or you take your loss and you move on. This will not be a time sink unless, again, I completely revamp the mode. This will not be a sneaky way of keeping you in the game longer. I fucking hate Tag Team Arena. It's so bad. It's so bad. I hate it so much. I hate every single thing about Tag Team Arena. So those are my thoughts on that. Now, back to the autocomplete thing that we talked about. I would implement autocomplete in a couple of places in the game, and I would be willing to have discussions on autocomplete because I think it can be a tricky thing to implement. I think you have to be careful with it. I think one place that without question we would put it is in Faction Wars. Any stage that you have 3-starred, you can now autocomplete. It's dumb to make you go in there and do that if you've already done it. Clan Boss. I have some thoughts on implementing autocomplete for Clan Boss. I think I would want to gate it to a degree. So I would consider maybe if you have ever one-keyed the top chest on a particular difficulty, then you can autocomplete it. It's not something I would want you to just be able to come in and do automatically all the time. I think that removes some of the interesting gameplay that you can get out of coming up with a Clan Boss team or getting a Clan Boss team to work. You know what I mean? So I think if you've managed to one-key a difficulty, then you can come in and autocomplete it. You still have to have the team. The team still has to be able to do it. Same thing with Faction Wars. You can't clear it once and then remove all the gear and strip the team down and still go in and auto-clear. You have to have a team that can do it. It'll just autocomplete. It will immediately simulate the battle, and the results will be the results. Same thing with Clan Boss. So I would consider making that the option. If you can one key the difficulty, then you can auto-complete it. Or we would just implement ×3 or ×4 speed for it, because it's just stupid that it takes as long as it takes. No reason for it to be so much of a time sink. Let's see, the sparring pit, or now it's called the Guardian Ring. The sparring pit, you can see I don't even use it. I don't even bother. I haven't unlocked any spots. I haven't upgraded any spots. I don't even put champs in here anymore because I don't give a shit about the sparring pit. So what I would do with the sparring pit is we can keep the 5 slots. They can all be locked. That's fine, I guess. This leveling up system, though, I just have a real problem with it, because it really doesn't matter how fast they do it, because you still have to catch it. You still have to come in and accept the level every time they level up. So my fix for that would be level 1 and level 2 can stay the same. Level 1 levels them up at a certain speed. You have to click to accept every level. Level 2 will do it faster, and you still have to click to accept every level. Level 3 will do it faster, and you don't have to click to accept every level. If you put a 4-star champ in here at level 1 and you have a level 3 slot, it will take them to 40 before you have to come in here and do anything. So levels 1 and 2, you have to click to accept your level. Level 3 removes that, and it'll just max their level for whatever rank they are, okay? I think that's a pretty reasonable way to do this, and it makes it worth the gems. If I could unlock all these spots and upgrade them to level 3 and put 4 champs in here that will just get taken straight to max level without me having to fuck with it, I think that would be so much better and worth the gems. I'd probably come in here and do that, honestly. As it stands right now, I think the sparring pit is garbage. I just don't think it's interesting. Another one would be Bastion customization. And this is going to be one of those things that some of you don't care about at all, and some of you would have a great time with. And I think we need more of that in the game. I think we need more options to have fun in the game. And as a longtime Summoners War player, I can tell you there were times where I would spend all day long playing around with designs for my island. It can be fun. So these buildings would at the very least, we'd come up with skins for each of these buildings so that you could at least change the way they look. But I would see about how possible it was to actually move everything around, and there would be a shop for decorations and stuff that you could place down, and ways to customize your Bastion. Because again, I just think that some people will enjoy that, and that's enough for me to want to do it. I think that it's been a long time since there's just been some pure, genuine fun to be had in Raid, and I think a lot of players would really appreciate that. So that's probably something we would do. And I would also implement a friend system. All of these games have that. Have a friend system where you get to use their rep champ for a day, and you can visit and see what other people are doing on their Bastion, what kind of decorations and stuff they have set up. That gives you opportunities for trophies. For Platinum Arena players, we would have statues for where you've ranked in Platinum. We would have different statues for different milestones. Once you clear Dragon 25, you get a statue for that. You can put it on your island if you want. Just all of these things that add to like the community and the fun and the uniqueness of players, I think would be kind of a fun thing to have going on in Raid. And for Raid being one of the biggest games in the genre, to not have any element of that, I just think it's kind of dumb. So that's more of like a purely fun idea, but I would do it. I think it's necessary. Let's see, Doom Tower champs. There will be 0 more Doom Tower champs getting added. Doom Tower champ frags. There are already way too many, and I feel like that's a tough thing to correct. So I would probably spend some time brainstorming a way to undo some of it, because the fact that it takes years to work your way through all the Doom Tower champs right now, and the fact that they seem to still be adding them is crazy. It's crazy. So what we would probably do is, I don't know, maybe you can adjust the amount of frags that you're getting per secret room to consolidate and pull that back a little bit so that you're not spending years to do it. And then instead of adding more champs to it that no one needs by the time they get to them, it's insanity. They will never add a champ to Doom Tower frags that anybody's gonna need after 2 years of clearing Doom Tower hard. It's just not gonna happen. So what it would be is on normal, you would start to get blank champ frags for epic champs, and on hard, you'd start to get blank frags for legendary champs. And this would enable you to go back and finish fusions that maybe you didn't finish before or didn't participate in completely. And those frags would apply to those champs. And we could create some sort of system where I mean, they wouldn't need to apply to Doom Tower champs ultimately, but if we changed the system, I guess in a way it could. But it would just be a way to go back and finish fusions that you didn't finish before, or if you wanted to apply them to frags, to champs that you have that you want to empower. Again, it's a fairly long-term goal. You wouldn't be getting 10 frags per room or anything. Might keep the frags relatively the same, but it's a way that you can work toward empowering champs that you're not pulling dupes of, or it just gives you a little bit more control over what's going on in your account, and you can correct. For example, I really hate that I missed out on the Gaius fusion. I don't know if that was a frag fusion or a regular fusion, but I hate that I missed out on it. There's been a couple times where I wish I had Gaius. I'd like to build him and try some things with him. And that would enable me to right that wrong. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of screwed that I didn't get Gaius unless I ever get lucky and pull him. And that's a way to kind of correct that. And again, I could put those frags towards champs that maybe I want to empower or get another copy of, or whatever it may be. So that's what I would do there. And then the last thing we'll talk about in this video is the new gear ascension system, because it is bad right now. The way that it works right now is bad. So my suggestion, my fix for it would be that when you ascend a piece of gear, the ascension bonus always matches the main stat of the gear. So when I ascend this piece, I am ascending the HP percentage main stat, and then I get a new random substat. And I feel like, while maybe this is not perfect, I think this is a pretty good first adjustment to the system. Because my easiest example to explain is if I have 6-star speed boots and someone else has 6-star speed boots, and let's say speed is the deciding factor in Platinum Arena. And I'm using Platinum Arena as an example, but I think this applies generally. And we both have an Arbiter that's 400 speed, and we both have 6-star speed boots on that Arbiter. And I ascend my boots and luck up and get speed as my ascension bonus. And the other person ascends their 6-star speed boots and gets flat attack. Well, now they're fucked. Now I've got, if I get total at max ascension 15 more speed on those boots, then now that person is 15 speed slower than me, and there's nothing they can do about it. And it's not really they didn't really do anything wrong. They just got fucked on the gear roll. You know what I mean? I think if we both ascend our boots and we both get speed, and then we both get a new random substat, I think that alleviates that. I think it removes the element of completely ruining a piece, completely removing a piece from contention. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the big issues with this new system, is that now the 3 years of farming and energy and time and silver that they've put into their account, you can ruin a piece now at high levels. And that's a real shame. That's a real bummer that some people's best piece of gear is now turning into a not so usable piece of gear. So I think Ascension should be powering up the main stat of the piece, and then you can get a new substat. And if we want to talk over time about adding more things to it, maybe it enhances an existing substat, or maybe it adds more. I don't know. I don't know what all it can do to the substats, but I think if Ascending Gear powered up the main stat in addition to another thing that it did, that alleviates that pressure of ruining a piece by ascending it. Because again, I think that's a real bummer. I don't know if that's necessarily the right answer. I think it's better than what we have currently, though. And again, I would probably consult a little bit with some top players and some other people to find a way to make that system solid all around. But in my opinion, that's a pretty good first change, and I think it needs to be done quickly. And if you've ascended a piece already that's been ruined, the update would just fix it. If you ascended your speed boots and got flat attack after the update, it would be corrected, and you would just have ascended the speed on the boots and then gotten a random substat. So I don't know. That's my thoughts on that. And then I guess for now anyway, just sitting down for a little bit and brainstorming this. That's the list I've come up with. I don't even know how many things are on the list. It's not necessarily a checklist or a this many ways to improve raid. This is just generally speaking, if I sat down right now without even having to give it too much thought, those are the things that I would do that I think would make raid better. So again, I'm very interested in the feedback on this one. What do you guys think about the things that I've said here? And then is there anything I didn't touch on that you think is important that needs addressing? And I know that there are more things that I didn't talk about. I'm very aware of that. There's also some other things that I didn't talk about. I think we probably get some new shards, for example. But these are things we can talk about another time. So let me know what you think about what I've said. Let me know if you have any ideas on things that I didn't say. And then if you want me to do a follow-up video about events, because again, I think that can be its whole own video. Let me know, and I'll work on that. I'll put some things together for that. But that's it. That's my thoughts. So at least now, when I say in my next rant video, because there will inevitably be one, next time I say there's so many quality of life things we should have that we don't have by now, you know I'm not just talking out of my ass. I have lots of ideas for things that I think we should have in the game already that we don't. So that's it. I'm interested, very interested in the feedback on this one. Get out of here. Later.